Well, welcome back. This will be the 10th video in this series, and we're still following the 7th Infantry. Remember, they were moving around Missouri. Well, they still are, and we'll catch up with them here in a minute, but it looks like either some letters got lost or some newspaper issues weren't in existence for this period of time, because this next letter shows up in the 19th of September, and I think we finished off with the 25th of August. So this is 3 weeks later. This is the 19th of September, 1861. Camp correspondence. They're now at Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and it's September 8th when the letter is written. Mr.'s Editor, my last letter, I believe, left us at camp in Jackson. Jackson was just outside of St. Louis. We remained there until 7 a.m. this morning, when we again took up the line of march for Cape Girardeau, at which place we arrived at noon today, and immediately went into camp. We will remain here until a boat comes to take us down the river to Cairo, where we will, I am told, go into camp for 30 days for drill and to perfect arrangements for the transportation of our baggage and such, or else go immediately to Paducah, Kentucky. Our march through Missouri, which we fondly hoped would attend with such honor to ourselves, rather fell short of our anticipations. Our journey up the river and march down again, and our final destination, the point from which we started, without area fight, to show for our toil and trouble, rather dampened our ardor. One reason why our expedition terminated so abruptly was the rupture between Generals Prentiss and Grant, and another reason is that utter impossibility of overtaking the secessionists. We could get no nearer than 30 miles of any secession camp. One thing we have done, we have driven all the considerable bands of rebels into southeastern Missouri, south of Cairo. The only way to fight them is to fight as they do. Organize small parties, let them roam over the state at will, creep upon the guards and kill them, fire on travelers on the highway, skulk around, and take life to the most cowardly manner possible. Match them at their own game, and they will soon quit. If there are any members of the peace party in Logan County, they should travel through this state, witness the outrages committed by the secessionists, and then reflect upon the manner of men they are working with. We have been amused to read in the papers the accounts of the bold exploits of General Prentiss's brigade. The prisoners we have taken do not exceed 75. We have had no show for a fight, nor see any secession camps save the deserted ones. The company are all well and much more rugged for our march. We do not like the idea of leaving Missouri, and especially of going to Cairo, but we'll try to do our best wherever we are. Yours truly, Philo H. Conklin. So they succeeded in pushing the secessionists, rebel soldiers, away from the Illinois shore north of Cairo, so that the threat of an invasion by them crossing the river and coming down on Cairo is lessened considerably. Back at home, there are a lot of politicking going on, and there are some conventions happening for both the Republicans and the Democrats. When I get around to reading about the Democrats, remember that the Herald is a Republican paper. It always has been. It came into existence as a mouthpiece for the Republican Party. So we have to keep that in mind when they're talking about the Democratic conventions, although it seems that things were going awry for them. October 3rd, 1861, Union Conventions. The citizens of Logan County, without distinction of party, are in favor of the Union and the Constitution and the enforcement of the laws, and against all compromise with treason, and who believe that now, when the government of our country is assailed, the shortest way to peace is the unanimous preparation for war, are invited to meet at the courthouse in Lincoln on Monday the 14th day of October instant to nominate Union candidates for county offices. It is suggested that meetings be held in each precinct in the county on Saturday the 12th instant, and that each precinct appoint 5 delegates to said convention. And that was put in the paper by many citizens. And they follow up with the Union Convention. We invite the special attention of our readers to the call in today's paper for a Union Convention to nominate candidates for county offices. The matter has been talked of during 2 or 3 weeks past, and the general desire has been expressed by loyal citizens of all parties that something of the kind should be done. We have no doubt that the people, without political distinction, will respond heartily in the call, except perhaps the diminutive set of party leaders hereabouts who have recently been engaged in holding party conventions and attempting to revive corrupt political cliques. It is best that all the people unite, if possible, in sustaining the government and in advancing the Union sentiment. Yet it is hardly to be expected, or in fact desired, that these men, who have, until now, opposed every means of preserving the government, should participate in a genuine Union movement. Indeed, they seem shut out by their own action, freely and voluntarily committed. Confidence, says William Pitt, is a plant of slow growth, and the people are not likely to trust those who in this hour of the country's trial evince more devotion to party platform than the safety of their country. There are plenty of men who have been right from the commencement of our dangers, hosts of true-hearted and unconditional Union Democrats and Republicans who will meet and make the grandest convention ever held in the Logan County. We trust no 11th hour men will be nominated or elected. Give us Union men, staunch and true, with such a ticket, fair and just to all loyal parties. We believe no element of opposition in the shape of a party reorganization can hinder its complete success. Then we get to the Democratic side of these conventions. The resolutions of the Logan County Anti-War Party. Below we publish the resolutions in full passed by the Democratic Convention, which met at the courthouse in this place on the first day of August last. These resolutions, as will be seen, favor a compromise with the rebels. Appended to them will also be found the resolutions adopted at the Democratic mass meeting held at the same place September 25th, the consistency of which with the former action that the Union-loving body we have shown elsewhere. Logan County Convention. A convention of delegates from the several precincts of Logan County was held at the courthouse in this place on Thursday, August 1st, for the purpose of devising means for the reorganization of the Democratic Party. The convention was called to order by Dr. A. Marshall Miller. James Rigney, Esquire, was appointed chairman pro tem and John Wyatt, Esquire, secretary. Dr. Miller resigned his place as chairman of the Central Committee, and Robert Leslie, Esquire, was chosen in his stead. A committee to draft resolutions consisting of Dr. A. Marshall Miller, L.P. Lacey, Esquire, Colonel Worthington, and G.H. Campbell, Esquire, was then appointed by the convention. They reported the following resolutions, which were unanimously adopted. Resolved that the democracy of Logan County will stand by the Union and the old flag of our country as our fathers made them, and will accept an honorable compromise for peace at any the same may be offered. Resolved that we stand by the fundamental Jeffersonian principles as expressed in our motto, state sovereignty and national union, and that to surrender the one is to sacrifice the other, and the safety of both is in stern adherence to principle and policy of the Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Charleston platforms. Stump-tailed democracy, its doings in 2 conventions. We publish elsewhere today the proceedings of the 2 meetings lately held at the courthouse in Lincoln, each purporting to be a Democratic convention. The first of these assemblages was composed of about 24 individuals who have generally been considered among the prominent office seekers and leaders of the party. It will be seen that the object of the meeting was for the purpose of devising means for the reorganization of the Democratic Party, and that the resolutions adopted were of an ultra-party character. One of them advances a stern adherence to those principles and policy of the Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Charleston platforms, and another enjoins upon the democracy the duty of preserving their organization. The second of these meetings was held on the 25th day of September and was, to a considerable extent, composed of the same persons that figured so conspicuously in the first. It was exclusively a party affair, and its labors consisted mainly of appointing about a dozen men, all remodeled Democrats, to cast the vote of Logan County in the Mason City Convention to nominate a candidate to the Constitutional Convention. For the information of the uninitiated, we will say that not one Democrat in 10 had anything to do with these meetings or approved of their proceedings. They were gotten up and approved by and for a few of the self-appointed leaders and do not in the least reflect the sentiments of the party. The resolutions of the first meeting, especially narrow, selfish, unpatriotic, and exceedingly ill-timed in the hour of our national peril, compared with the patriotic utterances of those of such Democrats as Holt, Dickman, and Andy Johnson, or tried by the last two speeches of Senator Douglas. They appear utterly contemptible, but read them and judge for yourself. And here's the narrative from the Democratic mass meeting of September 25th, which appeared in the October 3rd Herald. It says, pursuant to a call published in the Logan County Democrat, there was held at the courthouse in Lincoln a Democratic convention for Logan County. On motion, Robert Leslie was called to the chair and G.H. Campbell appointed secretary. On motion, a committee of 3 was appointed to name delegates to the Mason City Convention to nominate a candidate for the Constitutional Convention. Dr. Finch, Colby Knapp, and E.L. Austin, said committee, returned the following names as delegates to the convention: Dr. John Finch, Colby Knapp, James Rigney, W.H. Bennett, John Tyler, William Matthews, J.C. Reiser, and Ezekiel Bowman, Samuel Waters, and Samuel Neiswanger. On motion, it was resolved that the delegates in attendance upon this convention be empowered to cast the vote of Logan County in said convention. On motion to G.H. Campbell, the following resolutions were passed. Resolved that the democracy of Logan County are unalterably opposed to rebellion against the Constitution, laws, and decisions of the courts of our country, and that it is the duty of the administration to use all the energies of the government to suppress rebellion. Resolved that we are for the Union as our fathers made it, and that our delegates to the Mason City Convention to nominate a candidate to the Constitutional Convention be instructed to vote for a man devoted to the Union as it was of old. On motion, the meeting adjourned. Robert Leslie, chairman. So those were the narratives of all the conventions that were held there at the end of through August and September. We have local news now. It's all of the nature of the war. So we'll read through these. And one of these is a letter that I think you'll be rather interested in. We start with retired Henry Sturgis, Esquire, our late partner in business and formerly publisher of the Herald, has retired from printatorial labors. His connection with the paper ceased on Monday last. So Henry's going to join the service. He's going to go into the cavalry, and he will be in the 4th Cavalry in Captain Wimple's company, and he will take over later as the correspondent for the Herald from the war front. And I have about 32 letters from Henry that we'll be getting to. We have a letter from Lieutenant Franklin Fisk stating that Colonel Dickey's cavalry regiment will pass through here to Camp Butler. He says he can take 20 more men, horses, saddles, and everything furnished immediately after enlistment. Those wishing to join the company will apply to William G. Starkey at the courthouse. And that's also the 4th Cavalry is what that's going to become, Colonel Dickey's regiment. So Franklin Fisk ends up in the same company with Henry Sturgis. Lieutenant Myers will return to camp at Gerardo on Monday next. His recruits, numbering 20 or more, are requested to be on hand at that time. Now, this Lieutenant Myers is Leo G. Myers, who we will hear about later as well. GAR encampment here in Lincoln was named for him. Read the compromise and the anti-compromise resolutions of the Logan County anti-war clique in today's paper. They are varied, harmonious, and beautifully characteristic of the wire workers on Pulaski Street. Whoever the wire workers are, they never did explain that. Okay, on October 10th, we have Judge Campbell's letter to the Herald, and I'll just read it and let him tell you what he's thinking. Editor, Logan County Democrat. And then this was recopied in the Herald. In your last issue of the 13th instant, my name was suggested for county judge, and the question asked if I would accept. Proper respect for the writer demands of me a reply. The duties of the place, if conferred upon me, I would discharge to the best of my ability. But if the election is to be conducted in the partisan bitterness and strife to the exclusion of the great question before the country, then I desire that my name should not be used for any office. The great question is, can our Union be saved? For I have no hope beyond my country. We have now a national policy. The President, in his recent action concerning the Fremont Proclamation, has furnished one which will rally all Democrats and conservative men around him, and they will never desert him so long as he shall go forward in his present path. He will provoke the assaults of the abolitionists, but he is better off with them against him than for him. The efforts of all good and patriotic citizens should be directed to the saving of the government and the union of these states. We are in a terrible condition. If the dismemberment of this government is to take place, I see in the future no free use of the Mississippi River and commerce south, with a burdensome tariff on us in support of the manufacturing interests of the East. We should become vassals to portions of our country or witness another terrible revolution. Hence I say in the language of another, I have no hope beyond my country, no refuge beyond the union of my fathers. I shall cling to it as fondly as a child clings to his mother. I cherish it as I do any dreams of liberty, and if the arm of the sectional fanaticism shall destroy it, I shall still clasp the memory of it to my heart and embalm it with my tears. If we that have dwelt in this paradise of liberty are unworthy to inhabit it and determined to tear down this glorious fabric of human government, then, sir, I shall be ready to almost abandon hope and enter the land of despair. I wish all platforms could be abandoned, and a union sentiment and party be built up as Patriot Douglas desired, that should sweep all opposition away. But old party prejudices are hard to break down, and if party strife is to enter the contest for office, you will excuse me in declining the use of my name for any office. The office of county judge is worth but little. There are many important questions continually arising before the court that require some time and reading to become conversant with laws and the decisions bearing upon them, and I cannot well spare the time. My opinion is worth nothing to the public, but my anxiety in reference to the condition of the country is my apology for this giving utterance to my feelings freely. Respectfully, G.H. Campbell. As we go on, we will see that many of the names that were read in the Democratic conventions will become part of the Illinois 106th, which is a year away from being made. Doesn't happen till late 1862 before they go to Springfield. There we have it for today. Hopefully we get this all in one video. It was a long read. You all take care, and I'll see you on the next one.